Hi guys, this is Brandy, otherwise known as Mystria Diamonds, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hey y'all! Okay, so this is my very first premiere that I've ever done, so I'm kind of excited about that. Hopefully I won't run out of things to say, fingers crossed. Usually I can talk to, like, the paint drying on a wall, but, I just want to make sure. Forgive me for that. Every now and then you may hear a little bit of that, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But originally I was going to work on my miniature, but right now, unfortunately, my family and I have, well, I don't know yet as of today if I have COVID or not, but let's just say that my whole family has it, so I'm and I'm not feeling great, so probably high possibility that I do have it, but you know what, I'm going to keep my spirits up, and so that's why I kind of decided to diamond paint instead of working on my miniature, because for my miniature, it requires a lot of concentration, because how do I put this? I love my miniatures. They are not relaxing when you're putting them together. They are phenomenal after you get it put together and see what all that you've put together. But as far as the actual putting it together, you've got to pay attention to a lot of things, and you have to concentrate really hard. And right now it's a lot harder for me to concentrate really hard on something for long periods of time, and since this premiere is supposed to be an hour long, I just did not think that I was going to be able to do that, and I am so sorry, because I did plan on bringing you some miniature love, but I think it'll be okay. I am actually working on Sweet Tooth, which is my collaboration that I am doing with Kara from the Principal Painter. And I've kind of gotten a little bit behind on my painting. Normally I'm a lot farther along at this point in the game than I am right now. But, things happen, right? Life happens. We get to not feeling all that great sometimes, and you just gotta take time for yourself, and you gotta rest, and that's what I did. Not to mention, I had to go back through all of this stuff up here because I had done the first section with no sparkles or anything. Oh my goodness! And I'm just knocking stuff left and right. I just had the regular stuff, and then I got some ABs from a group, Stacier group, off of Etsy, and I put those on. And then my sparklers from Tmall came in, so I had to go back and replace some more stuff, because y'all, I am blinging her up like you would not believe, because I am not a, I'm knocking stuff out. I am not what you would call a scatterer. When I bling up, I like to kind of actually completely replace colors. So, whoops. Oh no, thank goodness that didn't stick. Y'all would have heard me cry. But no, I am not one that I like to fully replace colors if I possibly can. I guess I'll put it that way. And so I figured I could talk and diamond paint right now in my current condition, and I'm sorry if y'all hear a little bit of a snuffle and whatnot. It's because I do have a little bit of a cold, which or it could be, that's why I'm not expecting this test to come back negative. Unfortunately, I want to have hope, I want to have positivity, but everybody in my house has tested positive, so sometimes, hope kind of goes out the door. But what I do have hope for, something that I am really happy about, is that I know that I have faith that we're going to get through this and we're going to be stronger. And my husband is actually feeling better. My son is feeling better. My daughter is still not feeling great, but she is getting there. She's getting lots of rest, which is what I want her to do. I have only just recently started not feeling good, but it actually just feels like a cold, right? It doesn't feel. I'm not having trouble breathing or any of that stuff. But okay, enough of all the COVID stuff. So let's talk about something fun. I am in the process of trying to get Christmas presents for my kids. My husband's already told me, or he put it on my Amazon wish list, so I know what it is that he wants. But I decided to take the advice of Marissa, and I started a gift exchange Elfster just so that I could get my kids to get on there and put some wishes on there so that those of us in the family, which I just did the immediate family, we can go on there and we can, now see, look at this. I done put this up. Oh, okay. Y'all ever hate it when you think you have looked over a canvas and looked over a canvas and you actually find like a whole section that you completely missed? Yeah, that just happened. Wow. Okay, well, it just means we gotta get it back out. And so anyway, I do have a few of my kids that have actually gone on and they put wishes on the Elfster. Because obviously this year is going to be a mail order Christmas. It's going to be one where I have to order everything online. And I know it may take a little while to get here, but since we're not going to be able to actually meet for Christmas like we were hoping, we're going to have to wait till after Christmas to get together. So that should give plenty of time for the gifts to get here. But they still have to get on there and wish. Like, come on, y'all. Like, come on. Get on there. Tell me what you want. And, of course, there is stuff coming out all the time that I'm like, oh, Chris will love this one, or Jasmine will love this, or Danny will love this. And so I'm getting into the Christmas spirit in that I'm looking at what joy can I bring, because it's going to be I guess a virtual Christmas this year. I'm going to talk to them on the phone, and I have an iPhone and they have Androids, so I may have to see if I could do, I guess I could try to do Facebook Messenger with them, so that I can see them, their little faces. But you know what? It's gonna be okay, because like I said, we still love each other and we're still gonna be here for each other. We just may have to do it at a later date than what we planned, and that's gonna be okay too. All right, so what all kinds of things have I been up to? I was going to kind of think about some of the things that are kind of happening this year. Now, some of it may not relate to Christmas, but I'm going to try my best to relate most of it to Christmas. But y'all, I have some very fond memories of spending time with my grandparents. Now, in previous Whippin' Chats, I have talked about going to go see my mother's mother, my granny. When she was alive, I'd go spend Christmas with her, but she wasn't the only one that I would spend Christmas with. We actually broke it up between my dad's mom and my mom's mom. And with my dad's mom, now, She is where I think I got my shortness from, because my dad is tall. He's like 6 foot. And my mama, which is what I called my dad's mom, my mama, she was like 4'11", I want to say. Um, and now my mom was also short, so I mean, I got it doubly, right? I think I got the recessive genes from my dad's mom and the genes from my mom, and so that's where my little shortness came from. But you know what? I have come to terms with being short, and I tell people all the time, you got to remember, the most valuable and the most powerful things come in small packages: diamonds and TNT. Um, that's actually been a saying that I've said my whole life, because people will make short jokes and shrimp and, oh, I can't even tell you all the little short names. Um, but being short has its advantages too. Um, but anyway, so I would go stay with my mama from time to time during Christmas. She would get me, no, well, not Christmas Eve, but she would get me like Christmas Day. And I would go over there, and she always had my stocking. And now, keep in mind that for a very long time, I was the only grandchild, because my two half brothers, Scott and Shane, Scott was 8 years younger than me, and Shane was 12 years younger than me. So for a very long time, I was the only grandchild. And so, yeah, I have to admit, I got spoiled. I got all kinds of presents, and I didn't have to share with anybody for a very long time. But I can remember getting our um, stockings. Now, my mama, she sold Avon. And oh man, y'all, she was so successful at Avon. I don't even know if any of y'all know. Well, I mean, y'all probably know what Avon is. I don't know if how many people still sell it around where y'all are. We still actually have some people here, but my mama was a top seller. She got all kinds of awards and prizes, and I'm assuming commission money, whatever. But so naturally, inside my stocking was always going to be some Avon stuff. So I got like Avon lip gloss, lip balm. Always got Skin So Soft. And I'll tell you right now, for those of you that have not ever tried Avon, that Skin So Soft, like, it's supposed to be like a bath moisturizer, like an after bath moisturizer or whatever, to soften your skin. But let me tell you, that stuff is amazing for keeping mosquitoes off. And it doesn't smell bad. It smells really good. But yet it is an amazing insect repellent. I don't think that they intended that, right, when they made it, but it works so much better than any of the insect repellents that I have ever used. And but you have to get the old formula, because and they finally when they got rid of the old formula, I guess enough people complained that I've started seeing the old formula come back. But she always got me Avon stuff, and usually they always had some of the so sorry, some of the cute lip balms for Christmas that had like one was a Santa, right? It was the little balm that was in the little tube, and the cap was a Santa head, like with the little hat and all. And there was also a snowman and Rudolph. So she would get me like the whole set, right? Um, and then I got some of the jewelry, and she didn't really get me too much of the makeup, right? Because I was young, so she didn't think I needed makeup, but she would get me the lip balms and stuff. And also every part of or every Christmas, not every part. Wow, I can't even talk. So sorry, guys. Every Christmas, inside the stocking would also be walnuts, which actually happened to be my favorite nut, and oranges. Always, always, always. So like my stocking it was filled, and it was spilling out, but there was always Avon, oranges, and walnuts. And so, I kind of have tried to keep that tradition going with my kids as far as like now they're not fans of walnuts, but they do like oranges. But instead of like the regular oranges, we'll go get the cuties, because they fit in there a little bit easier, right? You can get more stuff. And then of course you got to have some chocolates. I always did have chocolates as well. And like one of my favorite chocolates was the well, at least for Christmas time, I liked the they were these little coins, right? And you peel it off, and it's chocolate. It has a gold foil, and they they always put them in the little mesh baggies, right? And so I would usually get some of those in my stocking. Um, but my grandparents always tried to make Christmas so special for me, and my mama, one of her big traditions that we would have is Christmas night, because like I said, I spent Christmas Eve with my mom's family. And so Christmas night was with my dad's family. And so Christmas night, my dad and my uncles would all come over. And you got to kind of understand that I didn't get to see them as often as I wanted. And so Christmas was a big time for us. And we never really had huge meals for Christmas. Like Mama would make something nice, right? But I was always more focused, y'all. Let's be honest. I was more focused on, okay, as soon as we can get finished eating, we can open presents. So I want to open presents. I mean, I was a kid. Come on, when you're a kid, even though you like spending time with family and whatnot, let's be realistic. It was the presents. You wanted to see what you got. But before we could do the presents, my papa would start a fire in the fireplace, and I used to love to go and sit in front of the fireplace. Like, I didn't care that it was warm. It was that, God, it was that smell, right? The burning wood and the heat from the fire, but the smell from the fire. Oh my gosh. Y'all, to this day, that is probably still one of my favorite smells. And my papa, like, boy, they knew that I wanted presents, but they said, nope, we've got our traditions, and we're going to we do these things first, and then we'll get to the presents. So they did kind of draw it out. So we always ate, and then we sat by the fireplace, and my papa would tell us a Christmas story. And he would usually put me in his lap, right by the fireplace. And so I felt like I had my own little personal Santa. And he would tell us a Christmas story, and not necessarily like when I say Christmas story, I don't mean like one of the books. I mean, every now and then, yes, he would read The Night Before Christmas, but he would tell us Christmas stories from when he was a child. So I got a chance to learn stuff about him as he was growing up, and then he would tell Christmas stories of my dad and my uncles, and it was just as as a kid to you always want to hear stories about how your parents grew up. Excuse me. You always want to hear stories about how your parents grew up and what all did they do when they were kids, because sometimes parents always make it seem like they were the perfect little kids or whatnot, and it's only when you talk to their parents they're like, oh, no, let me tell you some stuff that your dad did. And the stories were heartwarming, but at the same time they could be funny. And then you have my dad over there and my uncles going, no, don't tell that story, don't tell that story, oh my gosh, I thought we'd forgotten that one. um and I got a chance to learn a little bit about my great grandfather and all that as well. And um, we always would sit and we'd have a really good time. And I can remember probably one of the things that I used to really love getting as far as uh, a present. It's one that didn't last very long, but I really liked it. And I don't know if they still sell this or not, but there was this bubble. Okay, I don't even know what the color. It's like this plastic stuff in a tube. Okay, and you have this little straw. And what you were supposed to do is you were supposed to squeeze out a little bit of the plastic stuff and you roll it into a ball and you put it on top of the straw and you blow, and it will expand it, and then you pinch it off the straw, and you have, not for very long, but you have this little sort of plasticky bubble that you could then crush and roll up. I don't even know what that stuff was called, but oh my gosh, I so looked forward every year to getting some of that. Now, I will tell you, I am slightly ashamed of myself that when, now the first Christmas that Scott came into the picture, keep in mind, I was 8 years old. Okay, so, I was 8 years old, used to being the only grandchild, only child, not used to sharing with people and not used to sharing time with people either. And all of a sudden, here comes this baby that is taking a lot of the attention. So I'm not very proud that I kind of pitched a hissy fit, because I felt like that they were giving the baby all the attention and that I wasn't getting any, and so I pitched a royal tantrum. Let me tell you, I went full out, arms, legs, kicking, screaming. Oh my gosh, I am so not proud of myself. But I know why I did it, because I was spoiled. Number one, I was spoiled. I was used to being the only one. But then the strangest thing is that by the time I was 12 and we had Shane and it was his first Christmas, oh my gosh, I thought I had my own personal little doll, right? Like I wanted to hold him. I wanted to help him open his presents. And it was a totally different reaction than when Scott was his first Christmas. And I think that has to do with the fact that, number one, I was older. Number two, I had had an opportunity to already get used to having to share the spotlight, because you have to understand that with my brothers being half brothers, I pretty much I didn't get to see them an awful lot, because we share the same dad and they have the same mom and I have a different mom. So, I didn't really get an opportunity to spend a whole lot of time with them. And um, I'm also I was a lot older than them. There's a lot of age difference. But I love my brothers, and now Scott is gone from us. We lost him when he was 22. We still have Shane, but I don't really get to see my brother as much anymore. There's a lot of things, and I miss him. I miss him terribly. But I can remember. Oh my gosh. Okay, there was this one Christmas. Shane had to be probably about. Let's see. Yeah, Shane was 4 years old because I was 16. Okay, and I had gone to visit for Christmas, and my dad had to work, and so he, with me being 16, right, he charged me to look after my brothers. Now, I had watched my cousin before, right? So I mean, and I have babysat many, many, many times by that point. And, so I thought, sure, not a problem. They're my brothers. They love me. They adore me. They're going to listen to me. This was the one time that I found out that this is not the case. No, 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 no. I was trying to get them to watch TV. Yes, I know. I was having them I was trying to go, all right, let's watch some TV. Let's kind of chill out. Let's relax. Shane decided to get the vacuum cleaner out. And, I'm like, no, put the vacuum cleaner up. And then next thing I know, Scott goes and turns on the vacuum cleaner. And now Shane is trying to ride the vacuum cleaner. And I'm chasing them around the house. Like, get off the vacuum cleaner. Get off the vacuum cleaner. Which, me trying to chase them and pull them, I was trying to pull Shane off this vacuum cleaner. And then what happens? I accidentally pulled the hose completely out of so I broke the vacuum cleaner. All because I was trying to get my brother off of it, and he was holding on for dear life. And let me tell you, my little brother Shane, he had a grip. Oh, he had a grip. And so when he was holding on tight and I was yanking, so yeah, I yanked the hose off. So what do you think happened when my dad came home from work? Who got the blame? I got the blame. Even though Shane was the reason why it got ripped off, I got the blame because I'm supposed to be watching out for my little brothers. I shouldn't have let them get out the vacuum cleaner. And I tried to explain to him that I didn't try to let them get the vacuum cleaner, that they got the vacuum cleaner. He's like, well, you were supposed to be watching them. So that's when I learned that I used to always want siblings, but I kind of wanted older siblings. I didn't necessarily want younger siblings, but I wanted siblings. I wanted to see what it felt like. And so for that brief little bit, I don't know if that's how it truly is. So sorry. I don't know if that's how it truly is with siblings. As far as the oldest always gets in trouble. But I know that I got in trouble that day, and I know that I used to get in trouble with my cousin as well. And she was also 8 years younger than me. And so I kind of I didn't like the whole, okay, because you're older, if they do something and they break something, you get in trouble for it. I didn't really like that part of it. And I honestly thought that they would listen to me. And then I remember I'm sitting there in front of the TV with Shane, and Shane decides that he wants to play. And like I told you, this little boy was strong, even as a 4-year-old. And like he gets right up behind me, and he wraps his arms around my throat and he pulls backwards like a wrestling move. Because, yeah, unfortunately, they were really into wrestling. And I did not expect a 4-year-old to be so strong. But believe it or not, that's a Christmas memory for me because, it all happened right around Christmas time. And probably one of one of the best Christmas memories that I think I have from going over to my mama's house was, and I think it was because we had we'd gotten an opportunity. Usually, whenever I came there, the Christmas tree was already decorated, because it was Christmas Day. But my grandmother and my grandfather decided one year that they would save the decorating of the Christmas tree till when I got there. And so uh, I got an opportunity, and we only did it that one year, but it was so very special to me because my mama, she had the tree up, and my dad and we helped wrap the lights around the tree, and we put the garland around the tree, and then she would start getting out the Christmas ornaments, and she had a story for every Christmas ornament that she took out. And then she'd be like, all right, where do you want to place it on the tree? And so now, granted, I couldn't reach all the spots, but I would tell my dad where to put it, and my dad would put it there. But to get a chance to hear the history of some of my dad's first ornaments, like this is the ornament for his first Christmas. This was the ornament for my Uncle Kenny, my Uncle Terry. Here was your first ornament, and the thing is that I had seen the tree, obviously the other years, but I never really asked about the ornaments. And so I didn't really get to realize that there was this significance to each of these ornaments. I do wish that when she passed on that I could have maybe gotten some of the ornaments, but I do have ornaments from when my mom and dad were married. I have an ornament that has my dad's name on it, has my mom's name on it, and whatnot. So, I still do have some of those. I just don't have the ones from my mama. But that was so special to me that she wanted to share the history of these ornaments. And, that was super special to me. My mama, she wasn't much of a cooker. That was my granny. My granny, we spent time in the kitchen on Christmas. My mama was more about, just sitting down and talking to you, and so she would tell me all the stories and all the history behind everything. So that one was a really special Christmas for me. The one Christmas that I will never forget, it wasn't necessarily that it was a super happy Christmas, but when my grandfather got cancer, and I didn't find out until years later, actually, that of what type of cancer that he had, which is the same kind that my husband had. But I just remember that he had to be in the hospital, and it was right before Christmas, and my dad had told my mom that I needed to come on to see Papa, because his health was not, he was not getting better in the hospital. And so they wanted to make sure, because he had already started where he wasn't remembering things, but and I had just gotten I was ninth grade. I had just gotten my glasses, and so I looked a little different. And he kept asking for me. He kept going, "Is it Christmas? Is it Christmas? Is Brandy coming? Is Brandy coming?" Um, and I remember I walked in and I was a little bit nervous because, what if he didn't recognize me? And sure enough, he didn't recognize me at first. And then I took off the glasses and he recognized me immediately. Um, and I remember that the present that I got him was a replacement pair of slippers. He had worn these same slippers that I had given him when I want to say I was like 5 years old when I had picked out a pair of slippers, and he had worn those same slippers every single day, and so I wanted to get him new slippers. But the reason I'll never forget that Christmas is because when he recognized that it was me, the smile that lit up his face is something that to this day I will always treasure and I will always remember, because my papa and my grandparents meant so much to me. He was like my little Father Christmas. He was always so jolly, and he always would help people out anytime. I mean, he was one of those, when you hear the saying, give you the shirt off his back, that was him, right? He would give you the shirt off his back. So, that Christmas, it was the last Christmas that we had with him, but it was still super special because I got an opportunity to love on him. And even when you're in situations where you have something sad, I believe that it's important to also remember those good memories as well. Remember and cherish the amazing times that you have, because there's going to be sadness in everybody's life, right? But if we can just remember all of the good times as well, then that'll help get us through the sadder times, right? It's not that I'm trying to be, how do I put this? I'm not trying to be all happy go lucky all the time, but I do try to see the positives in everything. Just because I don't know. I heard one time a long time ago that it takes more facial muscles to frown than it does to smile. And so, I always remember that, and I remember that my grandparents have always been like, look on the bright side, look on the bright side. That's always been my grandparents' motto, and so I've tried to adopt it in my way. And does that mean that I don't have negative thoughts? Oh no, I do. I know this year, it's hard to get into the Christmas spirit because of the situation, but you know what? I'm trying to make the best of it that I can. So, let me talk a little bit about. I've talked a little bit in a previous Whippin' Chat about my mother's mother, but so on my mother's side, like I said, that's the grandmother that, and I called her Granny. That she was all about baking. And so one of the things that we used to make, like I said, well, actually I didn't make. This is one of those times I really wish that I had paid attention to the fruitcake cookies, which I know she made with rum extract. And when I say, like, they didn't look like squares of fruitcake, because they weren't. They, oh my gosh, it almost looked like a chocolate chip cookie, except that it had those it had the nuts, and it had the candied cherries and other little things that come in fruitcakes. And so I have tasted fruitcake before, and they don't taste like that. but they are still, oh my God, they were still amazing. And like I said, I never got to figure out how to make the divinity. Luckily for me, I have some friends that have found me a divinity recipe, which I do plan on trying. Um, I'm really looking forward to that. But she also used to, besides making the suckers for me, um, which is why I do this canvas for Christmas, this sweet tooth, is because she used to make me these suckers with all these different flavors. But she also would make this cake. Now, she didn't only make it on Christmas, don't get me wrong, but, for her, Christmas was a time of baking. Like, you pulled out all the stops, right? She had a pecan pie that, because she was kind of, how do I put it? Like, she didn't want it to be so super sweet. So she had a recipe for the pecan pie that made it where it wasn't as sweet as some others. I think she used like light Karo syrup in it. But I know she used light Karo syrup. I just don't know if that was the only change. I think she also took out some of the other sugars. But oh my God, her pecan pie was so good because she wasn't one to put whole pecans in. She would take and she would spend so much time finely chopping the pecans, so that when you bit into the pecan pie, you didn't just get this huge piece of pecan, right? You got these little bitty pieces, but they all added up to, oh my God, her pecan pie was probably one of my favorites. Loved it. Um, and then, she was all about sweet. So she had a pecan pie. She had this dessert that I think it was called Blueberry Surprise. And I don't know if it has another name, but it had, the bottom was, and she put it like one of these square or rectangular Pyrex dishes, right? And she would do crushed graham crackers, where she blended them up, right, and got the powder, whatever. And so she would pack it down, okay? And then you had the like cream cheese, I want to say. Was it cream cheese or was it whipped cream? It might have been cream cheese with whipped cream. I can't remember, but it was. I knew it was white. And so she would spread that out, and then she'd get the canned blueberries, like blueberry pie filling, and she'd put that on top, and then she would top it with whipped cream. And let me tell you, that was probably one of my, almost everything that she made was one of my favorites. I can't even, like, Grandma's Kitchen, there's nothing like Grandma's Kitchen. There's nothing like all the good foods that come out of Grandma's Kitchen. Oh my gosh. And so, but she always called it, no, it was Blueberry Delight, not Blueberry Surprise, Blueberry Delight. Now, technically, I imagine that you can do this same thing with others. Like, I guess you could make a Cherry Delight or anything that has those fruits that you can put, like pie filling fruits, right? She also would do a chocolate delight. So instead of using fruit, she would do like chocolate pudding. Now we have something similar to that we make, which is a chocolate pie where we basically take chocolate pudding and mix it with whipped cream and then put it in a pie tin. And it's a huge favorite. And my favorite is when, instead of putting it in a graham cracker pie tin, we put it in a Oreo pie tin. Oh, y'all, that is so good. You know, chocolate pudding with whipped cream with Oreo. Yeah, hello. That is the thing. Another one that she also made all the time, and this is one that I have not seen around a lot anymore. I think it used to be more popular um, in the older days, but she would make this cake, right? Chocolate cake. Um, but she would make her own icing. Like it wasn't buttercream icing. Um, it was this chocolate icing that she did on the stove, and I didn't pay attention exactly to everything that went in it, but when it when it's all liquidy, right, and she lets it cool for just a tiny amount of time, enough for it to stiffen a little bit, and then she would take a cake spatula and she'd go all over the cake with it, get it all on. When it dried, or cooled off, I guess just to say, it made like a little bit, not hard, okay, it wasn't hard, but it wasn't like regular icing. It was this harder type that just had this, oh my gosh, just this taste that is beyond belief. And so I am scouring, I'm having my mom scour her recipe book for her homemade icing, because I would love to make that for my kids one day and share with them what that homemade icing tastes like. Because as much as I like buttercream, and I do, I am a buttercream person. I am not a whipped topping. Don't get me a cake with whipped icing on it. I like buttercream, unless the only thing that would top buttercream is that particular homemade icing. But like I said, I haven't been able to find it. I haven't been able to find anybody that does it. And so if any of you actually know where I can, because if my mom can't come up with that, which I'm sure my granny's got to have it somewhere in that recipe book, I would so love to know how to make that icing, because that is a taste from my childhood that I miss desperately. Because I think I can make the blueberry delight. The divinity, now that I've got some recipes for it, I'm going to try it and see if it tastes like my granny's divinity. And I'm going to find her fruitcake cookies. But she also used to make, I think they're called spritz cookies. I don't know if that's what you actually call them, but you take, it's kind of like, it's like a butter cookie, right? So you make the batter, not like for a sugar cookie per se, but more buttery, and you make it into a paste, and you put it through this, it was this little silver tube, and it had all these different little ends, and you squeezed it. It was like a gun, right? And you squeezed it, and usually if you had the star shape or whatever, when you put it down on the tin, right, it would make these just cute little, and she called them spritz cookies. And you could have ones that you spritzed out and they looked like little Christmas trees, or there were all different tips that you could put on there to make it look like that. And oh my gosh, I love those. And I think that's why every year I try to get those little Danish butter cookies, because they remind me of the flavor, except that the flavor of these spritz cookies were so much flakier. Another thing, I mean, like I said, she was a baking fanatic when it came all times of the year, but especially Christmas. And we could not have Christmas, and this is going to sound really strange, but we could not have Christmas without strawberry shortcake. And now I did get a chance to watch her make the strawberry shortcake. So what she would do She didn't get anything. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this color here that I could have swore that I saw. Now watch, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up, and then I'm going to come across this color after I've put this up. All right, I'm putting it up. I'm putting it up. Y'all find me the color. Okay. So sorry. I got distracted there. I got distracted. Okay. So, oh, what was I talking about? Oh, strawberry shortcake. So she made pound cake. Now, she had a couple of different pound cakes. She had one that was, I guess it was called like a sour cream pound cake, where it had sour cream in it. But it was always still sweet. But she would make a pound cake, and she would leave it to cool. Now, she had to make 2 of them at the time because my pawpaw, anytime she made pound cake, every time my pawpaw had to have the first slice as soon as it was like still warm. Like as it was still warm, he got the first slice of pound cake. So she would make 2 so that he would get his slice, and then we still had the pound cake for the strawberry shortcake. Okay, so then she would prepare, before she made the pound cake, she would prepare this strawberry, the part for the strawberry. So she would get the frozen strawberries, right? And she would put them in a bowl and let them defrost. Okay, and then after the strawberries defrosted, and I think that was just because we didn't have a place around us that had great fresh strawberries. You would think, with us being in a small little country town, that you'd be able to find that, but maybe during Christmas time you just can't find it. I don't know. I just know that she used frozen strawberries, and she'd let them thaw out, and then she would put them in a bowl, and she'd put like, oh my gosh, it's like this huge amount of sugar, right? She just dumped this huge amount of sugar in there with the strawberries, and then she would put them in the refrigerator, and somehow all that liquid and all the sugar, it would turn into this syrup. And maybe she did cook it. I just remember seeing the frozen strawberries. I remember seeing the huge amount of sugar, and then I remember that it was always in the refrigerator, and it was like a liquidy strawberry glaze. And so I'm if someone out there knows what I'm talking about, can you maybe put in somewhere, like, do you have to cook it to where you can get that syrup, or was it just her putting it in the refrigerator? Because y'all got to keep in mind, I was a kid, and I haven't seen anybody do it since, because now if I do strawberry shortcake, I just go get that little strawberry glaze, which is not near as good. It's not as good as the strawberries that she did. It's not as flavorful, and I would like to be able to have that again one day as well. So if someone maybe can help me out there where I'm kind of floundering here, I'd really, really appreciate it. Okay, so she would make those. Sorry, I'm looking to see if I've got this one. No. She would make the strawberry shortcake, and she'd have in the bowl, you'd have the strawberry goodness, and then she had your pound cake. So you'd put your pound cake on your plate, and I would ladle so much of that strawberry stuff where it soaked into the cake. And then she had, she never did the whipped cream in the can. She had set out whipped cream that you had in the freezer, right? The Cool Whip. And you just got a big old dollop, and you put it on the top. Oh my gosh, y'all. See, look, I'm making myself hungry. This is what happens when you talk about all the good food that my grandmother made. Just, yes. And then, of course, that also is, she was phenomenal at the baked goods, but she was good at anything that she made. But I can also remember that, we would have just even on simple days, like when my grandfather and my uncles were out hunting, right? They would go out hunting and they'd go out during the day, and so she didn't want to make a huge meal because they would come in for lunchtime. And when they came in for lunchtime, they were hungry, but they wanted to be able to quickly eat and get back out there. They needed to get out there to get to the deer. And so she used to have this, it's not really a meal, okay? We called it the quick lunch option. And she had where she baked cornbread. Now, my grandmother, oh my goodness, this cornbread was in a cast iron skillet that had been seasoned for generations and generations and generations. And so she made this, she had the cast iron skillet, and I don't know what she put on the bottom, but the bottom of the cornbread was always just so buttery goodness. It was so bad for you, but it was so good. You just couldn't stand, oh my gosh. And she would always bake cornbread. And then what we would do, now she liked to put it in her buttermilk, because she liked buttermilk. I didn't like buttermilk, so I would just have regular milk, and you crumble, and maybe this is a southern thing, I don't know, but she would crumble cornbread, and you scoop it out of your milk, and you just eat the cornbread and the milk. And it was a filling little, something just to kind of fill you up, but not overstuff you where you wouldn't be able to eat to eat dinner that night. But yeah, and her house was the only place that I ever had, this was when we would go for, when they were hunting, and she would make cornbread. Now, I've had cornbread from her, but as far as cornbread and milk, that was always reserved for when everybody was out hunting and they just wanted to come in for a quick little something and then get back out there. And so that's what we did, is we had cornbread and milk. She had hers with buttermilk. I had mine with regular milk. But I will tell you, my mother gave my grandmother a heart attack one time because, like I told you, that cast iron skillet had been passed down for quite a while. It had been, and if you've got cast iron skillets, you know that you don't wash them with soap and water, okay? Because one of the good things about cast iron is it retains the seasoning. It retains, what you have, each meal, whatnot, and it stays in there and it helps season following meals. Well, my mother, when my grandmother got a little bit sick, my mother decided that she was going to go and help my granny out. And so she was washing dishes, and she washed with soap and water my grandmother's passed down seasoned cast iron skillet. Y'all, my grandmother flipped her lid, because that was generations of seasoning down the tubes. Ooh, but that didn't stop my grandmother from going, you know what, fine, we'll season we'll start all over again. We'll start all over again, and we'll get this bad boy seasoned. But my mom learned a very valuable lesson. She learned to never, ever, ever use soap and water on a cast iron skillet. And so that was something that I've passed down to my kids, so my kids know, and they have, I'm getting them some of their first cast iron skillets as they start moving out, to be able to start their seasoning, because I don't have one that I can really pass down right now. But they're going to be able to start seasoning theirs, and maybe they will be able to pass it on. Uh, okay, so I think that I have talked for almost an hour. If not, then I'll have music playing up until time to go, and maybe y'all can get a small little break. But thank you so much for listening to me, and I'm going to leave you like I always do. Reach for the stars, grab hold, hold on, and never let go. I hope that y'all enjoyed this premiere.